to Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy.
Welcome to Real Estate Live with the Real Estate Guys, Aaron and Jacob Taylor.
We're keeping it real, we're keeping it current, and we're keeping it fun.
Las Vegas's #1 real estate show.
Talk to Aaron Taylor.
Call 310-MOVE.
Talk to Aaron Taylor.
310-MOVE, the real estate guy.
Yep, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. We were just talking off the air, but the cameras never stop. Ken is a client of ours as well.
Yes.
Right, Ken?
Yes, Aaron.
And you bought a house in the Rainbow, what's it called?
Actually, it was McNeil.
McNeil.
McNeil Manor.
Yeah,
Yes.
really nice over there. Older homes, but all redone and refurbished. And it's funny when Ken calls me, Brianna, he goes, Aaron, I don't want to bother you. I just want to start looking at some houses. It's going to take me a while. So, no pressure. I know you're busy. I don't want to take any of your time. I said, no problem, Ken. Let's go look at a couple of them. No problem. First day, first house. I like it. I want it. I don't think it was the first one, but it was the first day.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the second house.
The second house. And he goes, no, Aaron, I really like this one.
Wow.
This is me. And then
Fast, kid.
Yes.
it was really fast.
I guess when you know, right?
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And he knew it, and it had so much character, so much charm to it.
And it's 2 miles away from work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very close to the government center.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, so you ride your bike
I could
if you
walk.
want to.
Yes.
Aw.
Yeah, it's close to your mom and your family, your friends, and where you go to, and
Yes.
yeah, it just makes it really convenient. So, I tell you, for us as real estate agents, I don't show houses too much anymore, but when I do, to good clients like Ken, it's just such a good feeling to get them something that they really wanted, and just watch them happy in this home they're in. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. So, Brianna, our county assessor, you were mentioning something about builders come to you, right? Where they have this big parcel of land, and then you were telling me something about you parcel them out. Can you explain that to me?
The lots, yes. So the builders don't necessarily come to us. We're indirectly related. So what they have to do is file a map with the recorder's office. Just like you file your deed, they file maps with the recorder's office. And so we get those maps, and then they obviously get surveyors and everyone involved to determine all of those things, and we get the maps, and then we have to map them out. So I don't know how often people or you may look at our maps or our aerial photography, and you can see that each parcel is outlined. At some point, that may have been just a big vacant lot, but as we parcel them out, that's our GIS team who creates those parcels.
What's GIS mean?
Geographic Information Systems.
Okay. And so you kind of get a pulse on how busy these builders are, right? You could kind of see it.
Depending on the number of maps we receive, we can kind of tell if things are still, if home builders are planning to do a subdivision. So the only way we know is when we get the recorded maps. Everything we process comes from the recorder's office.
Right, because if builders are buying a lot of land and doing a lot of recorded maps, they kind of know something's happening on the horizon. Like so you're like boots on the ground. You see it. Like my buddy Ed Taney from Taney Engineering. We talk a lot. We're good friends. We play golf sometimes. And I could tell on how busy he is on where the market's going to go in a year from now. And it seems like, maybe wrong, but it seems like you guys are pretty busy, right?
Things are kind of slowing down a little bit.
Are they?
Yes, we don't get as many home sale deeds as we normally would. I won't say that it's a halt, but it's definitely slowing down. We're able to keep up like on a daily basis. Typically, we're sometimes between 7 to 14 days out, but we can process our deeds right now on a daily basis.
Do you think that's seasonal because of the season?
It could be seasonal. It could be the supply shortage. It could be a number of things.
Right.
Yeah. So the interest rates are high. Maybe people aren't selling as much. I mean, a combination of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you that we sent to you. I'm going to ask them to you. I think the bottom two are yours, right? The property valuation process.
Yep.
Can you explain how property values are assessed and what factors are considered in determining these values?
So everything that we do or how we value our properties in Clark County is by law. So land is based on market. So what my office does is we track sales throughout the entire year. We are always looking at sales because by law, we cannot exceed market value. Improvements are based on cost. The law says that we have to value all improvements using Marshall and Swift costing. So we go through, we value the land, we value the improvements using Marshall and Swift. We add the two together.
What's that, Marshall and Swift? Is that just
It's a cost
program?
manual.
Oh, okay.
It's a cost manual
Okay.
that CoreLogic puts out. We use that manual, then we add the land value to the improvement value, and that creates a taxable value. Once we arrive at our taxable value, we then have to test it to the market. So as I mentioned before, we're tracking sales all year long. So once we arrive at our taxable value, we look to the sales that we've received on the recorded deeds to say, are we exceeding market value? If we are, then we make adjustments. So the good thing about being a cost state, because we are a cost state, we're probably the last, if not Arizona, I believe, is the other state. But most other states are market states. We are not a market state. We're cost. And so with that, when we have those two values, before we send out our notices, we look at our ratios and say, are we exceeding market? So if you just bought a brand new house for $500,000,
Right.
we have it on with land value and an improvement value, and we come in at $550,000. As long as it was a true arm's length transaction, everything was on the up and up. You didn't sell to your mother or your daughter.
Right, arm's length. Yep.
Everything's good. We have to say, where did we get this wrong? And we have to make adjustments down from our 550 down to the 500.
And what percent is it? Is it a 0.5%, 1%, 3%? I mean, what's like? How do you come up with that number? Like, what's the tax on $500,000 house?
So what we typically say as a somewhat rule of thumb, if you're going to buy a $5,000 home, a $6,000 home, we estimate about 1% of purchase price plus the land taxes that are already associated with it. If it's a new build.
Right.
If it's a new build.
Right.
So about $5,000 a year.
So let me ask you this. I'm just curious. So I have this house. It's a house that we just listed. It's 3781 South Torrey Pines. And by the way, you guys, we have this game that we play, and I haven't tell you. It's called Stump the Chump. Okay. You're not the chump. Right now, Brianna's like, what are you asking me? Don't be asking me that, boy.
No, that's fine.
Okay. But I'm curious. And what's crazy is I do this for a living, and I don't know, like, half of what you do. I could imagine just people that are not in real estate. You know, they're really confused, right? So we have this house. We listed it at $479. Now the taxes on here, the annual taxes, are $1,460 a year right now. The house is built in 1977. So this particular house, when was it assessed, and how did that $1,460 come up?
Okay. So based on the home itself, so that home, I can assure you, what year was it built?
1977.
77.
So it's like
just
Spring Mountain and
about-
Rainbow, Spring Valley area.
Okay, at full depreciation. So those taxes have been calculated way back when. So many of you that are listening, and perhaps you yourself, Aaron, are aware of what we have in the Nevada law is the tax cap. So because of the tax cap.
What is that, by the way?
So the tax cap says that you cannot pay more than 3 or up to 8% on the taxes you paid in the previous year.
Okay.
Okay. So based on the taxes on this home, because it is the age that it is,
Right.
their tax base has been established way back when. So now each year, their taxes can only go up 3% if it's their primary residence, or up to 8% if it is a rental.
Right. Now,
Okay.
Now, the new owner buys it at $479. Then what happens? Do the taxes stay the same? Because it's on the house, right? It stays the same.
Yep.
So sometimes buying an older home is a tax benefit to the buyer
It
than
is.
buying a newer home.
It is. But you have to be careful with that also. And I say that because if you make improvements to the home, you add an addition, you add a pool, anything that has never been taxed before is then that first year outside of the tax cap. So let's just say they buy this home and they completely decide to add 2 more bedrooms.
Right.
The 2 new bedrooms or the addition portion that they add is going to be outside of the tax cap. So they're going to pay the $1,400 in
Yep.
taxes, but then we're going to come out and pick up the remaining portion of the home and add that on. So it'll be the $1,400 plus, let's just say, another $300 in
Right.
taxes. And then this year's they're $1,700. Next year they're 3% of the $1,700.
Right.
Yeah.
And does it ever stop? Is it just 3% every year, and then like every single year, 3%, 3%?
Or the lesser of the two.
Yeah, it'll go up to 8 if it becomes a rental property. And so the reason why that one is so low is chances are throughout all those years, it was never a rental, and so it was capped at the 3% from one year to the next. And like she said, if you have an assessed value that's from 1976 or 1977, it's going to be very low. So every year it's only going to go up by 3%.
Right. And for people that pay cash, they know when their taxes are paid because they get the notice and they pay them. But people that pay their taxes that are impounded through their escrow, how often are taxes paid throughout the year? When do they due?
Those are paid 4 times a year.
Since you were speaking, I might as well.
Yes, basically, you know what? She has the assessed values. They give us the assessed values. We actually then take the assessed values along with the tax rates that we receive from the state, and so we calculate what the real property taxes are going to be. We then bill and we mail out the tax bills to folks that don't have a mortgage.
Right.
But if you have a mortgage, then you'll get a distribution notice, but the mortgage company will then get the tax information electronically.
Right.
And for the state of Nevada, there are 4 installments. If taxes are under, if they're $100 or less for the year, then that bill is due in its entirety on the first installment. First installment is the 3rd Monday in August. And then the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th installment are the first Mondays in October, January, and March. And so whether you're paying it directly because you don't have a mortgage, or whether you do have a mortgage, the mortgage company will then be paying it at those times.
Right. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I have a question for you that it will roll right into what Ken does, because everybody wants to know, how can I pay less taxes? And since I'm the real estate guy, I'm such a nice guy, right? And I have everybody vote for you and all this. I mean, shouldn't I pay less taxes, Brianna? But shouldn't my properties be assessed lower?
Everything is statutorily driven. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Oh, man. All right, we'll be back in a minute. I'm going to ask another question that's going to be related to that. Talk to you in a minute. It's crazy, though, how residential housing really dictates our economy.
Yes.
You know, because, like, the interest rates are 7.5%. I don't think they're going to change until after this. By the way, everybody, welcome back to Real Estate Live. I have Ken Diaz, County Treasurer, and Briana Johnson, County Assessor, on our show today. I don't think that we're going to have any movement until after the election, right? Whoever wins, Republican, Democrat, which I don't really care, they're going to use that to get into office and say, hey, drop these rates 1 point, and it's going to stimulate the economy. Because as soon as it goes down 1%, what happens? People start buying more. Unfortunately, because it's the American way, they start refinancing their house. Not to get a lower rate, but to pull money out, right, Brianna? And they go to Disneyland. And they go to Hawaii, and they spend money, and they buy toys, and they put money into the economy. And all of a sudden, hey, it looks like everybody's doing great again.
Right.
We're just pulling out all our equity. Anyways, the question, Brianna, I had for you off the air was for veterans, for senior citizens, for disabled people, for what are the discounts, if any, are provided for people to get lower property taxes?
So the only thing our office offers, which again, everything we do is statutorily driven. So we are in place to make sure we're following the law. So the law says that we can provide assessed value exemptions for veterans, disabled veterans, surviving spouse, and the blind. And what happens with those exemptions or that assessed value is you can apply it to your real property taxes, or you can use it at the DMV.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Mm-hmm. Let's walk through, because we got a lot of people 55 and over listening, right? So they have a spouse. Mm-hmm. The spouse dies. Mm-hmm. What do? They can get a discount on their property taxes?
Yes, they can. So what we have is an affidavit for them to complete. They have to provide the death certificate, just make sure that it states that they are the wife or husband of the deceased, and they can get, and I have the numbers here, I want to say for, let's just say for a surviving spouse, they can get up to $50 off their real property taxes, or $83 at the DMV. And that's just for a veteran, they can save up to $100 on their real property taxes. Disabled veterans, they can save up to $1,000 on their real property taxes.
Wow.
And surviving spouse again, $50, and the blind up to $150 off their real property taxes.
And when you're living on a fixed income and Social Security,
huge.
every single thing helps,
That's
right,
huge.
Ken?
Actually, I've got a question because I'm a veteran. So is it more advantageous to use the veterans exemption for a home or for DMV?
Most people use it at the DMV.
Okay.
Because you get a bigger benefit at the DMV.
Okay.
So Ken can talk a little bit about this, but what happens is we have about 116, 17 some odd tax rates here in Clark County. And so wherever you live, the tax rate fluctuates. So the assessed value is based on that tax rate.
Right.
But if you use the benefit at the DMV, it's a flat 0.5% or 0.05%. And so you get the bigger benefit at the DMV. So, but you can absolutely use it on either. But if you use it on your real property, those are about the ranges.
Right.
That-
Can you just make sure I have all that before you leave? So when our listeners, if you want to get these phone numbers, we'll have them. You can just get a hold of the real estate guy. We'll give you the phone numbers, what forms to fill out to help you out. Just contact the real estate guy at 702-310-6683, and we'll get you all that information. And next, Brianna, you were fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for everything. And thank you for letting us surprise you on being on a podcast,
Yes.
not just a radio show. And now I want to talk to Ken. Ken, you got to speak it to the mic, though, buddy. You're
Yes,
soft
sir.
spoken.
Yes,
you got
sir.
to get in there. Introduce yourself. Tell us what you do. Go ahead.
Ken Diaz, Clark County Treasurer. Primarily, the biggest thing that we do is we get the assessed values from Briana's group. We calculate and build property taxes to the tune of $2.8 billion a year, because there are 800,000 parcels that we have to build and collect on. We also will follow up on all the delinquencies, which may or may not end up to be auctioned off. We did have an auction a couple weeks ago where we unfortunately had to sell off 46 parcels, and we brought in $3.5 million, which helped pay off their taxes. It made them current, and now there are excess proceeds that are available on those parcels for the property owners.
So let me ask you a
interested
question.
Parties.
Someone goes to the sale.
Okay.
There's a house that they haven't paid their taxes. And how long before it goes to auction sale?
Okay, basically, statutorily, again,
Yeah.
speaking, after the first year, we actually put a lien on the property. It's called a certificate lien.
Automatically?
Automatically.
Even if they call,
It's-
doesn't matter, automatically.
Well, it has to be delinquent. After the first Monday in June, if it's delinquent, then we will put a lien on it. After it's been delinquent for 3 years, then we will process a trust, a deed, and we'll transfer ownership to the trustee of
Okay,
Clark
so
County.
that first year you put a lien on it. Now it starts occurring penalties and interest, right? After
Correct. Yes, it's
that, which
four-
could be substantial.
it can, yes.
After 3 years, okay, they're gonna sell your house. However,
Yes.
when they go to the auction, they have to pick up all the 3 years of taxes. The person who's auctioning, right? I'm just kind of going.
The minimum bid.
Tell me how that works.
Yes, the minimum bid will be basically all the taxes and penalties and interest that have been incurred, any other costs, because we pay for publication, for mailing documents out, any other costs that are associated to that parcel are part of the minimum bid for that parcel. And so when we take it to auction, we always start out with a minimum bid, and if it doesn't get a minimum bid, then we don't sell it and we'll take it to the next auction. But primarily, usually those properties will sell for much more than the minimum bid, which will then
Right.
produce excess proceeds.
Right. So I'm going to make up a scenario, and you tell me if this is accurate. So $10,000 is owed for back taxes. Let's just say, right? They have a first lien on the property. They haven't foreclosed on them, but they're behind. They have a second lien, a mortgage. Who knows what it is? People are there auctioning on this. Opening bids $10,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person who's buying, they better do their homework on that house, right?
Most definitely, it's as is.
Because they're going to give you $10,000, but now they're responsible for that first and that second, right?
Yes. Basically, we say this at every auction that they need to do their due diligence, because every property is sold as is. We try to do our due diligence where we hire title companies to try to find any other liens and what have you.
Right, because you
that
don't
are out there.
supersede Chase Bank and all that. You don't supersede those, right? They still got to be paid. The mortgage.
They have to present themselves as an interested party, and then they will be allowed some of the excess proceeds that are, if there are any.
Okay,
available.
so let's say that happens. Someone pays it $10,000. Then the owner of that property 6 months later says, "Hey, I got the money. You guys sold my house. I want it back. This is a crime." What do?
You know what?
They SOS?
It's already been deeded to the deed has now transferred to that new owner. They can take it to they can hire an attorney and try to pursue it, but
But they can't pay it back. They can't. Once it's done, it's done.
From our standpoint, the ownership has already transferred.
God, I remember. I thought there was this rule. Maybe this was old school to where you had like 12 months to pay it back, but you had to pay the investor like a 10% on top of his money.
Well, with the excess proceeds, they interested parties do have a year to present themselves to be eligible for some of those excess proceeds. They do have 1 year.
Yeah.
I think that's why mortgage companies don't allow you to pay your taxes on your own, because they have a vested interest.
Right.
So that's why you have the escrow accounts. And some people, I think, have maybe wanted to pay their own taxes, but it's not in the best interest of the
Right.
mortgage company. That's
So you're
why
getting
have
free
that.
and clear houses mainly. They don't have
would
mortgages
think.
on them usually.
Or land.
Or
Yes.
land, yeah, because like you said, the mortgage company is going to pay it. They're going to protect their interest.
Right.
It makes sense. You get a lot of land. So you don't have to mention the parcel number or anything like that, but what was the best deal that went? Or do you even know or care?
I do. You know what I do? Because
me.
it stood out. Out of the 47 parcels that sold, we sold one of them for $1.3 million.
How big was the parcel?
It was 5 acres here in the Southwest. And that's all I'm going to say.
Residential or commercial?
It was residential.
So that's like 300, 1.3, like 275 an acre, I guess. That's cheap for 5 acres, right?
It was 5 acres, and the parcel on. I mean the land on. The building was about 2,500 square feet. It wasn't a very big home.
Well, they didn't buy it for the home.
They bought it for the. For the
Yeah,
land.
did a builder buy it? Can't say. Don't even say, Ken.
An investor.
Hey, it wasn't John.
It was an investor.
Was it John? Because I was supposed to buy that one.
It takes an it takes an investor to come up with $1.3 million. Let's put it. That
It does. And when you go there, ain't no financing, right? Like, hey, here's my loan approval letter.
No, and they have to pay cash or a cashier's check. It's got to be the day of.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. I want you to walk through that process, and then I have a couple questions that I probably even got to, because I just fly off the handle half the time. By the way, you guys are doing great, because I know I could be a pill, right? I can ask you some off the wall questions, but you guys are doing fantastic. So we'll be right back. This is Real Estate Live. Talk to you in a minute. Right. Well, we're back. Ken, go ahead. Say what you were saying, because that was good information. Both of you had some great off-air comments. So go. What were you talking about?
I don't know, what were we talking about?
Address
Well,
changes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your
address
address
changes.
changes.
Yeah, that's actually Brianna's office, so I'll let her speak to that.
All right. If not, I can talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm
Either way,
talking about, but I can just start talking about address. Don't forget to change your address.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
change your address. So that's what Ken was saying when we were off the air. He was saying that sometimes people don't get their property tax bill because the address is incorrect. But in order to make sure that the treasurer has the correct information to send you your tax bill, all of the information as far as ownership, mailing address, lies in the assessor's office. So if you have moved or if you are renting a property, please be sure to contact the assessor's office to get your mailing address changed so that you can get all of the information on your property, not just your tax bill, but your notice of value card from the assessor's office. And I think, Mr. Aaron, you were
What?
going to ask me about that.
What was I going to ask you?
About-
Go ahead and say it.
So since I'm saying it, or
Go
since
ahead.
I'm going
Keep
there,
going.
you talked about the appeal process, or you asked about the appeal process. So what happens is, as we're doing our valuation, so we talked about land is based on market, improvements are cost based. We add the two together, and then what we have to do by law is send you your notice of value card. So every December, every property owner will get a blue notice of value card in the mail. And what that notice is telling you is, this was your value in the previous December. This is your value that you're receiving for the upcoming tax
Now,
year.
Brianna, they seem like they're way off, though. Like a lot of times they'll get calls from folks and they'll say, hey, I got this value of $344,000, but my house is worth $550. Why is it so low?
So so right now this past December, we sent out notice of value cards for the July 1 of 24 through June of 25.
Right.
So we are getting ready to start working on sending out the notices of value for fiscal year 25-26. So we value ahead, but we're kind of behind the times. So sales are occurring, but once the tax bills hit July 1 of this year, we valued that all the way back in December. So you can see how things are constantly changing, because when we valued it and sent your notice, things have happened since December.
Right, yeah.
Things have happened since we started valuing those in July
There's a
of
time lag.
last year.
Right, and I always tell people, do you want to be valuated on your taxes at $550? Then call them up and tell them. But
Right.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd leave it at the $344.
Yeah. So
right?
and we have a statutory deadline as to what sales we can use. So as we are valuing for this coming fiscal year, the only sales we can use or next fiscal year is June 30th of this year. So as we prepare to value for July 1 of 25, we have to stop using the sales of June of this year.
Gotcha.
So we're kind of behind.
Perfect.
In a sense.
Veterans, you were talking about not all veterans
Yes.
qualify for the exemption of tax or the discounted taxes. You want to talk about that?
Right. Yes. So really quickly, I just want to go back and circle back on the exemptions that we offer. There are requirements, and they're statutory requirements. I don't make the laws. I just have to follow them. So for the veterans, you have to have a DD 214 with an honorable discharge from active duty. So those are the requirements. For your disabled veterans, you have to have a service-connected disability with an honorable discharge. So I just wanted to be clear on that. And that is all statute driven. That's what it is. And so I just wanted to be clear that not
Right.
all veterans qualify.
Right. It sounds like there's discounts. There's an array of discounts for a lot of people out there. You know, like the military, like seniors, surviving spouse, disabled. I mean, if you just, call the real estate guy at 702-310-MOVE, 702-310-6683, and we'll email you or we'll put it up on our website, everything that you're going over. Because I tell you what, $50, $100, $500, if you're on a fixed income, it's a lot of money.
Yes.
Even when you're not on a fixed income.
And
It's
you
a lot
can
of
visit
money.
our website as well. All of this information is on the county assessor's website.
What's yours?
Which is clarkcountynv for Nevada.gov/assessor. ASSESSOR.
Okay.
And ours is the same, except for the end of it is just treasure.
Right. Or just call the real estate guy and Janessa will get it to you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There you go. So I always wonder this. I see it a lot in Utah. I don't know if I'm not trying to be stupid or funny, but I'm just going to ask you. So I see so many houses that are like half built and half not. People are living in the home. They got their toys outside. It's fully functioning house, but there's some construction going on. But that construction, Brianna and Ken, has been going on for like 10 years. Do they not pay taxes on that as it's being constructed? Is that why they do that?
No, they paying taxes on it. So again, July 1 is the lien date. So anything that is in place as of July 1 is considered taxable. And that is for all properties. We are fair and equitable. So any property that is in existence, even if a builder owns it, if we go out and we know as of July 1, it's going to be 50%, they're going to get taxed.
So if it's 50%, so if I'm adding 1,000 square feet above my house and I leave it just, I just leave it half done, they'll come out and determine is it 51% or 49% done. And if it's 51, I'm paying taxes.
It doesn't, if it's 20%. So typically on an existing home that is fully constructed and it's been there for 10 years and you decided to do an addition, we'll just wait for the final permits to come through. We're not going to come out and just do that piece. I'm talking a new build. If it's a new build, we're out in that community. We measure the models. That's how we get our square footages. We measure the models. And as they're building in that subdivision, as of July 1, if a house is 30% complete, we're going to pick it up as what it is 30% complete. Wow. It can be 25, it can be 50, it can be 70%. Whatever it is, we have guidelines to follow for that percent complete. but whatever it is as of July 1, that's how we're going to pick it up. And once it's done, we'll add that additional value on once it's
Right.
complete.
And although we only bill the property tax bills once a year, we do get assessed value changes from the assessor's office, like what Brianna just said. And so we may end up sending out an amended bill
Well,
as a result.
you guys were excited to have on the show. I mean, this is some good stuff. I mean, a lot of people are probably thinking like, this is boring, property taxes. For me, it's great stuff. You guys were more excited. You know, we had John Lee on our show running for congressman, right?
Yeah.
Used to be the mayor of North Las Vegas. You guys were more excited than John. I'm going to go out and just say it. We had Victoria Seaman on the show. You guys were more excited than Victoria. We got to have you guys back.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
Yes.
That
We
was really, really
appreciate the
cool.
invite. Thank you.
Once again, Briana Johnson, County Assessor, and Ken Diaz, our County Treasurer, just keeping us well informed on our property taxes and how the whole process works. That's what the Real Estate Guy does. So thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you for having us.
702-310-6683. That's the Real Estate Guy's phone number. When you list your house, you know, we have a couple great programs when you list your property, like these people right here that just listed our house with one of our listing agents. The property address is 3781 South Torrey Pines, 1,532 square foot, single story, large lot, beautiful pool, amazing property, all redone. And it's been on the market for like 0 days, 479,000. So we just put it on the market. It's there for you. Love for you to take a look at it. 702-310-6683. 7590 West Flamingo Road. It looks like it's a condo, unit 2001. This one's off of Flamingo and Buffalo, 269. Can you believe it? 1,000 square feet, you guys, for 269,000. Do you remember in 2008 when they were going for like 50 grand? People were buying 50, 60, 70,000. Now the median sales price on a condo and townhouse is $295,000. That's crazy. Jude, how are you ever going to buy a house? I know how you're going to buy a house. I know you make enough money to buy a house. You better pay your taxes, son. That's what you got to do. You got to do with taxes. You don't pay taxes, you ain't buying a house, right, Ken?
Yes.
Unless you're paying cash.
And we'll find you.
Oh, they'll find you. I think I'll be paying cash. They definitely will find you. So we had, I know we got a couple. Ramon, how many more minutes I got? A couple more minutes? 2 minutes. Well, I'm not going to tell the long story, but we get folks all the time, guys, that are just behind on their payments. They're just in a tough way. They can't pay their utilities. I've seen people homeless in their own house. It's very sad. And you have options. Call the Real Estate Guy. You don't have to sell your house to those iBuyer guys. The Real Estate Guy will come in, will help you out, will lend you a few bucks. I promise you, we don't charge interest. You don't pay us nothing more than you would just pay our standard commission if you go that route. Go to our website, TheRealEstateGuyLV.com. Look at all the reviews and testimonials that people leave. We truly help everybody out, get you the most money possible for your house. So if we have to do those repairs, carpet, paint, clean it up, if we have to catch up on your mortgage payments, if you need some money to move out and then we can fix your house up to get you the most money, then that's what we do for you guys. It's not just buying your house within 24 hours. And if you elect to go the traditional route, our marketing team is second to none. I mean, we spend thousands and thousands of dollars every single month on listing people's properties through 24 radio stations, TV commercials, thousands of dollars on Google, the aviators, social media, 90,000 people in our CRM system. And I can go on and go on and go on. So if you want the highest price for your house, and by the way, the 55 and over communities, we know them like the back of our hand. So if you're an old fart listening to us right now, like myself and Ken, not you, Brianna, just us two, give us a call. We know how to sell those houses in Sun City, Summerlin, and Anthem and Siena. Anyways, thanks for listening to The Real Estate Guy again every single week. 702-310-6683. We are out. Thanks for watching the podcast today. An incredible show. Ken Diaz, our county treasurer. Briana Johnson, our county assessors. Look at them right there. Look at these beautiful people. Wave them. You want to know about taxes? You know what about delinquent taxes? You call these guys. Call The Real Estate Guy. We're going to get you to them. Can't wait to have them on the show again.
The Real Estate Guy.